All right, describe qualifications of naturalization, the process of naturalization, and how one can lose citizenship. There we go. There we go. Just working on the bell ringer, Sarah. You finished already? Hurry up. All right. Need more time? Ready? Okay. So, 3 ways to gain citizenship. How does it happen? 3 ways to gain citizenship. Go ahead, give me one of them, Jeffrey.
Most common way is to apply for citizenship in the United States Bureau of Immigration.
All right, so going through the naturalization process, right? Okay, good. What's an easier way though?
Across the border and saying.
No. Go ahead, Lex. Born in the US. Yep, good job. And yesterday I put the term up, use soli, right? Yeah, okay. So born in the United States, naturalization process. And what's another way to gain citizenship? So this way you don't technically have to be born in the US, you can be born somewhere else. But what? Jeffrey?
To be a citizen, you can also have parents from the United States.
There you go, good job. Child of American citizens. Good job. Good job. So law of the blood. And Ius sanguinis. That's another term that I put out yesterday. Good, good. So naturalization process, born in the United States, or if you have a parent that is a citizen of the US, you're automatically a citizen. Good? All right. So what about naturalization? What about qualifications of naturalization? What do we have? So Jeffrey, you kind of said that enter the United States legally, right? Okay, good moral character. What's another qualification? Sarah? Good job. 18 years old. Good. What's another qualification? Tanner?
Having a continuous residence while having physical presence in the US.
Okay, yep, good job, good job. So continuation of the United States, living in a certain area, good state. Another one, Sarah? Yeah, good job. So you guys remember the citizenship quiz beginning of the semester? Yeah, so citizenship quiz, which we all know is somewhat difficult to answer in some cases. And that video at the beginning of year, at the beginning of semester, beginning of the year, I thought that was kind of funny. Here we are getting back to it at the end of the semester with what Jay Leno asking those people simple questions of the U.S., which is kind of funny, kind of hysterical. All right, read, write, speak in English. Right, we all know that's important. Obviously, primary language in the United States. There's mobile language spoken, but English is that primary language. Good, good. All right, what about the process of naturalization? So citizenship test, undergo a hearing, and be investigated for good moral character. So if you're against the government, against the United States, chances are that's not going to work out for you. All right, what about collective naturalization? What does that mean? I reviewed that with you guys. Well, I talked about it yesterday in the video. What is collective naturalization? What does that mean? I think that was one of your vocab terms too. Should have been anyway. Madden, you remember? Yeah, how does that happen? Okay, all right. So how else could large number of people, a huge population, become citizens of the United States all at once? Go ahead, Tanner.
After territorial acquisition.
Yeah, good job. So territories being added to the United States. So Louisiana Purchase. We could have talked about territories being added throughout the exploration, manifest destiny, expansion out into the frontier. All these areas all at once become, all these people in that territory become U.S. citizens. All right, good, good. And then losing citizenship, how does that happen? Rem, give me one way. Okay, all right. So if you're maybe, all right. So if you're, let's say, leaving the United States, okay, maybe joining another country, I guess you can still have dual citizenship though, right? All right. What's another way, Tanner?
Entering foreign military.
Yeah, good job. So that's kind of what Rem was saying. Good, good. All right. What else? Lex? Yeah, good job. And what does that mean? Yeah, so you give up your citizenship, leaving to go to another country for whatever reason, right? Rem, you kind of detailed on that. Good. And wow, how else? How else? So a crime, right? Yeah, Brock, go ahead. Yeah, denaturalization, which is what? What does that mean? Denaturalization. Yeah, so if you give a different name, alias, or different location, place you're coming from, whatever it might be, age, uh, yeah, background, you name it. So fraud during the naturalization process, Rem?
I live in a place that, 3% citizenship and giving the US citizenship.
Okay, yeah, we talked about that. What about treason now, right? If you're trying to revolt, if you're trying to cause a revolution, that's a way you can lose citizenship too. All right, good, good. All right, is there any questions on that, guys? Tanner?
So would terrorist acts like make you lose your citizenship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what that means. Yeah. Good, good, good. All right, so bell ringer is done, naturalization process, citizenship. Today we're gonna move in a different route. I like you guys to open up your books, okay, to page 398. So chapter 4, section 3 here now. So let me bring that up. You guys can do it online here off of Canvas. I'd like to read the cover story with you and then talk a little bit about the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment today. Like I said, maybe I'll play a video for you at 21 Jump Street just because the Miranda rights. I think it's kind of funny. That one skit, that one clip. So go to modules, citizenship. Sooner or later. Yeah. Chapter 14. Like I said, we'll start at 398. I like to read the cover story with you guys. Seal, bound, and gagged. What? So we'll read about that. We'll start there first. 398. There it is. So the cover story, who would like to read that for us here? Go ahead, Sarah.
Political radical Bobby Seale charged with conspiracy to incite a riot at last year's Democratic National Convention had to be restrained during the trial today. Seale's loud outbursts regarding his constitutional rights have repeatedly disrupted court proceedings. Today, federal marshals twice had to wrestle Seale back into his seat. The trial was recessed while marshals tied a gag around Seale's mouth and shackled him to his chair. While Seale's now muffled shouts continued, Judge Julius Hoffman ordered the gag replaced with strips of tape. While courtroom chains are not uncommon, gagging a defendant is extremely rare.
All right. Yeah, good job. Good job. So we'll talk about certain cases today where maybe these people get away with it just because away with a crime just because they don't have, let's say, a right to a lawyer. Maybe they didn't read their rights, and maybe unlegal searches and seizures. So you read about a few of these court cases today where crossing these constitutional freedoms, these constitutional rights, results in maybe these people getting away with a crime that they may have committed. So we'll talk about certain cases today with that, and really just more about the Fourth Amendment, unlegal searches and seizures, and unreasonable searches and seizures. And we'll talk about the Fifth Amendment. So whenever someone says, I plead the Fifth, there's a reason for it. Maybe they don't have to speak about, their decision making during the crime, or maybe when they're being investigated for a crime. And really a right to defendant, right to a counsel, which we'll talk about more tomorrow with the Sixth Amendment. What's up, Sarah?
Didn't something like that happen in the past?
I'll have to look into that a little bit more. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. I mean,
Because it wasn't like they thought he did, but they couldn't hold him to because something wrong.
do you think maybe it's because of the evidence that was presented? Maybe it was something that was unwarranted, something that wasn't a warrant of the evidence. I'm thinking that's what it was. Yeah. All right. So I'd like you guys to read 398 here, 399, and then finish up here right at Congress and wiretaps. So this talks a little bit about the Watergate scandal with that evidence that was presented. So we'll finish up there. Again, we'll talk about the Sixth Amendment more tomorrow. Today, I just wanted to focus on the Fourth and Fifth. There you go. All right, once you guys are finished, here are your terms for today. So exclusionary rule, self-incrimination, double jeopardy, and counsel. All right, so what do we have for the exclusionary rule? What do we got? Brock, what do you have? Yep. Yeah, good job. So any evidence that's acquired that wasn't legally taken, let's say by a warrant, can't be used in a trial. If it is, well, chances are that trial will be ruled unfair, and that person is going to be let go of that crime. That's kind of what happened with the Cosby case there, Sarah. I was reading a little bit about it, more of it, some just investigation, and some of the exclusionary rule kind of came into play with that. So that's kind of was appealed and shown that with the evidence that wasn't presented at first. So yeah, that was a good point to bring up. Yeah, self-incrimination. What do we have? What's self-incrimination? Rem, go ahead. Yeah, good job. So this is pretty much like if you're getting investigated, maybe a police officer is questioning you about, let's say, the crime, you have every right to stay silent and have the right to a lawyer there before your question. So you don't have to answer any of the questions to the police officer. Well, let's say what happened. Good example, the new Spider-Man movie with Ned, right? How Ned's being questioned. He's like, "Oh, can we give Ned some food?" It's like, "Yeah." Because, well, so how long were you how long do you know Peter before Peter was Spider-Man before Mary Jane? He's like, "MJ, I knew way before him. I was this man in his chair." He goes, "Oh, so you were actually accompanying him." I thought that was funny. But that's self-incrimination. What's up? Yeah, that's what he said though. Yeah. So anything that could put yourself into danger or pretty much saying that you're guilty of the crime. All right, double jeopardy. What do we have? Tanner?
The prohibition, no, or it prohibits different prosecutions for the same defense.
Yeah, good job. So let's say there's a crime and you're proven that, let's say you're not guilty. They can't try you for that same crime. It's over, it's done with. And that's to protect the person. of going through the trial process again. And with double jeopardy, this is constantly brought up with the O.J. Simpson trial, right? There's a lot of people that think he did it, and a lot of the evidence that points to it, but because of double jeopardy, he can't be trialed for the murder of those two people. So that's interesting to think about. All right, counsel, what do we got? What is the counsel? What is it? Sarah? Yeah, good job. So let's say a right to a lawyer. So the Sixth Amendment. So you have that right, and to help protect you through, let's say, if you're stuck in a situation like that. All right, so we're going to go over the Fourth Amendment today and the Fifth Amendment. That'll be it for today. Tomorrow we're going to finish up the notes. Friday I'll give you the study guide. And then Monday review, Tuesday test. And that'll be it for the year. No final. Don't worry about it. All right, so the Fourth Amendment guarantees protection against unreasonable search and seizures of evidence. My teacher, my social studies teacher in high school, he used to go over by the lights and flick them back and forth. Illegal searches and seizures. It's not a funny joke, but we all laughed about it anyway. So protecting you, making sure that the police just can't kick your door open and take whatever evidence that may acquire in case you're being investigated for a crime, that it protects you and your property and your possessions, and obviously making sure that you are protected. So unreasonable search and seizures of evidence. All right, so in order for officers to search your home, it must be present by a warrant, so and issued by court. So court issues a warrant to police officers for them to investigate your home or your property to see exactly what type of evidence that they can pick up to link you to, let's say, a crime. So must be able to demonstrate probable cause, so based on evidence. So there are certain cases where police officers can search your property, your home, your possessions without a warrant, but there's certain stipulations to that, right? But in any case, they need a warrant. And any show that you watch or movie that you watch, that's always presented, that's always expressed. Where's your warrant? You can't just step into my house. Well, certain cases of police officers can just come into your house without a warrant, which we'll talk about next slide. But the Fourth Amendment protects your property, protects your possessions, and makes sure that there is a warrant present before they step in your home or your property. So expectations, warrants aren't needed when there's a life-threatening situation. So if someone's in harm, if something or someone's life's in jeopardy. Police are witness to the illegal activity. So if they visualize, if they see what's going on of, let's say, a certain crime, whether it's a hit or run, or maybe you have a possession of a handgun or any type of weapon in your car, they can see, if they see it, they witness it, they can search your car and take that from you. Police may search garbage that is placed out the curb, the collection for the sanitation department. So any type of garbage you have set out, if you're being searched, if you're being investigated, they can pick that up because it's out for the garbage. Do not need a warrant to search vehicles during routine traffic stops. So maybe if there is a checkpoint that's set up or established and they maybe smell or see something within your car, they can search it. You don't need a warrant for that. So if there's any type of suspicion of maybe of a crime, they can pull out, they can search your car or your house without a warrant. We talked about the exclusionary rule already. So evidence that is obtained illegally may not be used in court. So recently, this rule has been relaxed in certain situations. Obviously, if it's a huge crime, okay, if it's something that, let's say, of murder, and they can link you to another crime with that evidence, sometimes there's certain stipulations to it. But one case, and especially that I thought was interesting, was Mapp versus Ohio in 1961. The police was they were investigating a person, this woman, of having types of bombs and explosives for, let's say, a revolt or a reaction or some sort of revolt against the government. And as they're investigating, as they're kind of searching through her home, they found a handgun and they also found pornography. And at that time in Ohio, there was a law against this type of holding of pornography. So they tried to crack down on her with that, but they didn't have a warrant for the pornography, which I thought was interesting. It's like, wait a minute, that's unbelievable. So they tried a trial for having this type of possession of pornography, but it didn't work out in that case because they didn't have a warrant for that evidence, for that type of information, which I thought was interesting. And that was actually in the book. So if you stumble across that, that was a little bit more about the case. Also, students, they are not guaranteed the same rights under the Fourth Amendment. So here at school, school administrators have the ability to search your locker, okay, and they can look for different types of paraphernalia if that is the case, okay. So they don't need a warrant for that. They can search it no matter what. I don't think they do that anymore with the dogs. They have bring dogs in to sniff the lockers. I haven't seen that in a long time. Middle school?
Yeah. I think we did a couple times.
Yeah, I remember when I was in high school, that happened quite a bit. We had to stay in the classrooms until they made their rounds, but I haven't really seen that here in a long
It
time.
happened a few times last year, yeah, but
It did? I don't remember that.
That was in Mr. Fight's room. Like seen the dog walk by.
Oh, all right. New Jersey versus TLO. This is a good example of how school administrators can search your belongings. This was at one time, there were designated smoking areas in school, believe it or not. Pretty crazy stuff. But this one girl was smoking marijuana in the bathroom, and that wasn't a designated area. So the administrator cracked down on it, searched her valuables, and she said that you can't do that. You need a warrant for that. And that's against my freedoms. And they actually ruled in favor of the school district on that. It's like, well, they have designed areas where you can smoke, and school administrators can search your valuables if you're in school. All right, Fifth Amendment, I plead the Fifth. All right, so this is your right to indictment by grand jury, protection against double jeopardy, which we already talked about, and self-incrimination, so that you're not speaking that could really harm you or put yourself in, let's say, jail. They try to protect yourself from any type of, let's say, words that might put you into jail. So with police officers, like I was saying before, with the Spider-Man situation, they might try to kind of tug your arm or ask many questions, the bad cop routine, right? Where they might actually push you to say some things that maybe aren't even true. So to try to protect you from that, this interrogation, like they have the Fifth Amendment. All right, so when accused of a crime, evidence will be collected and presented to the court for review. Court will examine and determine if there's enough evidence to put a person in trial. If so, indictment and put on trial. If not, could be dismissed. We already talked about double jeopardy. Can't be tried twice for the same crime. And like I mentioned before with the O.J. Simpson trial, this is brought up constantly. So if we try them again, we can definitely get them. Well, you can't be tried for the same crime. So it protects us from repetitive trials for the same crime. All right, and I kind of already talked about that. Self-incrimination, I already mentioned that already as well, so that you're not, let's say, confessing to a certain crime and that you're not putting yourself in harm's way and maybe admitting to something that maybe didn't even happen. Maybe you're under pressure, the anxiety, the nerves of the situation could cause you to say something that may not be true. And that's why the Fifth Amendment self-incrimination is established. So Escobedo in Illinois, so this was something with interrogation, very similar to what I was saying with self-incrimination. And courts can't be ruled and made statements under coercion and was not aware of the danger the statements had put him in. So trying to help protect you on whatever words that you might say or express in front of a police officer when being questioned, so that you're not just thrown in jail for no apparent reason. And that your rights are read to you beforehand so that you could have a right to a lawyer, that you could be quiet about a certain situation, that you don't have to express your matters or your opinions about what happened at a certain crime. And Miranda versus Arizona, that's a good example of where the Miranda rights came about. So this was a person that couldn't speak English and didn't understand their rights and didn't understand their basic rights and how they can stay silent, have the right to a lawyer. And these rights weren't read to this person. So after some time, and the Supreme Court ruled and viewed that these rights weren't presented to the person. Well, if they don't know it, how can they? How do they have the ability to fight and try to express themselves about the situation? And if they don't know their rights, it's not fair. So Miranda versus Arizona established the Miranda rights. So police must read accused before questioning, informs the accused of their Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights. So legal counsel, a lawyer, is presented to that person. Does anybody know the Miranda rights?
Right to remain silent.
Yep.
Anything you say or do will be held in court
Vote
against you.
against you.
Okay, yep. You're getting there. You have the right to an attorney, yep.
One will be about it.
Wow, you guys got it pretty good. And
You got the right to-
do you understand these rights I've just read to you? With these rights in mind, you wish to speak to me. There you go. I was gonna say, everybody has, right? Everybody has. All these crime shows here. So I'll play the video of 21 Jump Street. There's a picture. I think it's funny.